It's Friday again, which means it's time for yet another weekend vlog, and this weekend is gonna be kind of the opposite of last weekend. Last weekend was very much like a chill, I finally have time to relax weekend. This weekend I'm really hoping to be productive. I have quite a long list of things I'd like to get done this weekend, so it's gonna be a productivity weekend vlog instead. And I'm feeling pretty good. I have a long list, as I said, but I'm feeling confident that I can get at least a good portion of my to-do list items done. There's a lot of stuff on this list that doesn't necessarily need to be like completed this weekend, but I'd like to at least be making progress on some of it. So we'll list for the weekend just to, you know, kind of set our goals for the weekend, rather my goals for the weekend. Primarily need to look at some retirement account info because the institution I used to work for is making changes and I have yet to look at that. I don't know why the lighting changes randomly when I turn my head. Anyway. So that's a random thing. I'm just gonna do that when I get a chance tonight. But then I need to return some library books. I need to film and edit tomorrow's video. I need to finish reading Frankenstein. I need to work on my project proposal for one of my final projects, and I need to start writing some student learning outcomes for the course I'm designing for my other project that I'm working on as a final project for one of my courses. I need to finish the shawl that I'm working on. It's not actually currently in here. I was about to say it's behind me, but it's not actually behind me at the moment. But I have a shawl that I've been weaving that needs to get off the loom like immediately because that final project that I need to write a proposal for is going to be a creative project. And so I need to have what's currently on the loom off so that I can start that new thing. The thing that's currently on the loom is using these yarns though, and it's really pretty. So you guys will get to see that in a little bit when I pull it out and start working on it. I also need to finish the book I'm currently reading for Roll of Reads. That's not going to really be in this vlog as much because I am doing a dedicated Roll of Reads vlog, but I just wanted to put that on my list of like, I need to finish that book because I've been kind of languishing with that one. And then lastly, if I get the chance, I'd like to finish 2 more job applications because I am currently in job application mode. I'll be graduating a little more than a month from now, and I'm hoping to get something lined up for post-graduation. So quite a list of items, but some of them I know will be done tonight. Like I'm gonna return the library books this evening. I'm gonna film and edit that video this evening. And then this weekend is really gonna be about working on those final project goals and working on the shawl that needs to get off the loom. So that's kind of what's ahead. That's the roadmap for the weekend. But first, I do have a fun thing to start the weekend with because I got book mail today. So these just came in. I'm very excited. These were some pre-orders that I had. I've been basically just doing my pre-ordering whenever Barnes & Noble has their like 25% off pre-order sale. And so, you know, I'm saving a little bit of money that way and getting some of the books from authors that I really want to support. I also just like limited what I was pre-ordering this year to mostly authors I've read from before. Not entirely, but mostly. Sorry for the loud ripping noises. And just trying to focus on like things that I knew I'd probably get to fairly quickly. So this first one though is, you know, the exception to the rule because of course it is now that I've said that. This, I can't remember if this is a debut author, but it is an author I have not read from before. And this is The Last Bloodcarver by Vanessa Lee. This is a YA fantasy that just sounded really good. So the description says, in the harsh industrial city of Thumis, she is seen not as a healer as she was meant to, but a monster that kills for pleasure. And in the city's criminal underbelly, the rarest of monsters are traded for gold. When Nika is finally caught by the infamous butchers, she's auctioned off to the highest bidder, a mysterious girl garbed in white. But the strange buyer doesn't want to use Nika as an assassin or a trophy piece. She intends to use Nika's blood carving to heal the last person who saw her father's killer. As Nika delves into the investigation and Thumis's wealthiest and most powerful, all signs point to Vin Cochin, an alluring yet entitled physician's aide intent on casting her out of his opulent world. But despite his relentless attempts to push her away, something inexplicable draws Nika to him. When she discovers Cochin is not who he claims to be, Nika must face a greater danger, more terrifying evil, turning her quest for justice into a fight for her life. Her only chance to survive lies in a terrible choice, becoming the dreaded monster the city fears, or risk destroying herself and the futures of her kind. That just sounds incredible to me, and I'm really interested in this kind of like magical system that it's setting up. Yeah, so she, as a blood carver, she's able to alter human biology with just a touch. that just seems so interesting to me, and I'm so curious to see where this is gonna go. It sounds like there might be a little bit of romance in it, or maybe like an enemies kind of situation. Not really clear on that yet, but the cover is also just beautiful, and I'm really excited to dive into this one. If I can find a reason to read this like as soon as possible, I'm going to. Hold on a second while I let my cat out. He's very upset with me. If you heard any scratching in the background for a few minutes there, it was because Elle was being salty with me. He was like, excuse me, why is this door closed? So I had to let him back out in the hallway. So now for the other book mail. That one ripped much more smoothly. This one is from an author I also haven't read before, now that I think about it. But this is a novella that I am also hoping to read as soon as possible. And it sounds brilliant. So this one is The Woods All Black by Lee Mandello. You might have seen a jump cut there. I just completely botched the description of this book, so we're just gonna read it from the cover. But this one is a historical horror, trans romance, and blood-soaked revenge story, all set in 1920s Appalachia. Leslie Bruin is assigned to the backwoods township of Spar Creek by the Frontier Nursing Service under its usual mandate: vaccinate the flock, birth babies, and weather the judgments of churchy locals who look at him and see a failed woman. Forged in the fires of the Western Front and reborn in the cafes of Paris, Leslie believes he can handle whatever is thrown at him. But Spar Creek holds a darkness beyond his nightmares. Something ugly festers within the local congregation, and its malice is focused on a young person they insist is an unruly tomboy who must be brought to heel. Violence is bubbling when Leslie arrives, ready to spill over, and he'll have to ask fast if he intends to be of use. But the hills enfolding Spar Creek have a mind of their own, and the woods are haunted in ways that Leslie does not understand. The Woods All Black is a story of passion, prejudice, and power, an Appalachian period piece that explores reproductive justice and bodily autonomy, the terrors of small-town religiosity, and the necessity of fighting tooth and claw to live as who you truly are. Again, doesn't that just like sound incredible? I'm so interested in this being like a historical piece. The horror elements sound really interesting. I'm excited to see what the journey for this character is going to be like. Leslie sounds like a really cool dude, so very excited for this, and yeah. Just delighted that I got a little book mail to start my weekend. That was like perfect timing. So thank you to Barnes & Noble for being on their shit when it comes to shipping. Also to the post office for getting things here quickly. Shout out to those people. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on my tasks for the evening. I need to run to the library first. I need to look at my retirement stuff. I think that blackout period while they're gonna have everything shut down for the like shift that they're doing is gonna be like this weekend or something, or like early next week, so I need to go ahead and like look at that stuff. And then I think we'll probably do some reading this evening, which will be very exciting because I'm looking forward to finishing my reread of Frankenstein, and then I'll probably try to finish another thing that I'm currently reading before starting something new. And if I start something new, it's almost certainly gonna be one of these. So I'm really excited, and I hope you'll join me for what is hopefully gonna be a productive weekend. We'll see where things actually go. I think I usually say that because, you know, things happen, life happens, and I'm a little bit chaotic when it comes to to-do lists, but you know, we'll see where we end up. Well, it's been a few hours and I have managed to accomplish a few things. I did return the library books. We went out and got some dinner and then ran to the library, so those are turned in, which is good because one of them was due today. The other one I renewed, but I just decided to turn it in because it's a, what's the publisher? St. Martin's Press title, and since that boycott is still ongoing, I figured the easiest way to not talk about it is just not read it. So I've turned those in, and then I also have filmed and edited my anticipated releases video, which you'll be seeing before this video. This will be going up tomorrow. So I'm just waiting for that to finish exporting so that I can open up another piece of intensive software and make the thumbnail and then upload it. So that will be done in a little bit. This always takes a little bit though, because Premiere likes to sit and just think about exporting the video for a while. So if you hear a loud fan in the background, that's my computer sounding like it's about to take off because it's trying to export a video. So that is in the works, and I'll make the thumbnail for it and upload it in a little bit. And then that's the only stuff I've accomplished. I am gonna sit and take a quick look at the retirement account stuff I gotta do. Like, I'm tired and I don't want to, but I think that blackout period where I'm not gonna be able to do anything is coming very soon. So I just wanna like redo it and make sure I haven't like fucked up by not doing something. So, you know, at this point it might be a little bit too late, but just with everything going on with grad school, I haven't managed to like get that to the top of my priorities list. So I'll take a look at it at least. And then I could not help myself and I did go ahead and start The Woods All Black because I've been super interested in this book. And I've been really in a horror mood this year. A lot of the books I've read so far this year have been horror. And I just like picked it up I was putting it in my spreadsheet and I started reading the first few pages and then I got sucked in and now I'm on chapter 4. So, you know, I couldn't help it. I had to start a new book, but making good progress through it, and I am really enjoying this. So now that I've actually kind of gotten a chance to get into it, this is following Leslie, who is sent to the small town of Spark Creek to be a nurse, basically. Get people vaccinated, birth babies, do some maternal care, those kinds of things. But he arrives in Spark Creek and things are immediately like off. Like they're unusually hostile to him here. It's just very weird vibes happening in this town. And then he also finds out that there is another person who may also be trans who is dealing with a lot of that same kind of like hostility and conflict within the town, and so he's kind of trying to build bridges there. And I just am really enjoying Leslie so far. I'm really interested to see where all of this is going to go, what is like the real source of all the hostility, because a lot of it seems to be coming from the preacher, and I'm just thoroughly enjoying this. Also, the writing is really good. There have been 2 lines that I really liked that I wanted to share that I don't think are like spoilery, they're just kind of like atmospheric. But there's one where he's talking to an older woman who does agree to talk to him and is basically giving him some advice about the area. And I really like the way that she described the preacher. Okay, I found it. So she says, there are strange currents running under Spark Creek, and a preacher who sets himself foremost against devils has good reason to find them wherever he is able. So I really like that line. I think that's really interesting and is setting up some interesting themes. And then there's another bit a little bit earlier when Leslie is walking to the general store on his first day in town, and it says, the road bent around the swollen foot of a hill, and on all sides rose the staggering height and heft of the Appalachians. Their immensity made the town nestled below feel paradoxically claustrophobic, as if always seconds away from being crushed. For a moment, Leslie was grateful to be a lonesome thing, strolling among the earth's bones, and then the muscle aches set in. I just really like that description, so I'm really enjoying the writing in this, and I'm just excited to continue on with it. I have just realized I was using the dust jacket as a bookmark, and there we go. Like, closed it without putting my bookmark back. Anyway, couldn't help myself, got started on this. I will have to prioritize Frankenstein over this for a little bit, but again, like, I've read Frankenstein several times now, so I'm not as pressed to get through that because it's pretty quick when I am reading it. But yeah, I'm just really enjoying The Woods All Black. It's a little after 1 a.m. and this book's had its hooks in me. I finished it. This was not what I expected at all, especially at the end, or like parts of it I expected, but like the way that it wraps up, I didn't expect at all, but I really liked this. I really like Leslie as a main character and the obstacles that Leslie has to fight throughout the book in his effort to try and help the people of this small town, and then kind of constantly being rebuffed and rejected and ostracized and still like wanting to help people. And then the like complex relationship that forms between him and Stevie, who is this other young trans man that he meets in the small town, and just like they have this very complex relationship because they don't know each other very well for most of the book, but there's just like very intense like camaraderie that they form. And then there is a romance in here, and it goes quite spicy at the end of the book, which I wasn't expecting, but is really well written, and I just like thoroughly enjoyed this. It's very fun. It's got a good element of like revenge as well, so just like it's really good, and it has some really interesting themes around like religion and power and marginalization and like who are the monsters really. What does it say about us when we create monsters as well? So I think that's really fascinating, and it's actually like thematically really resonating for me with Frankenstein since I've been reading this recently, because that was a question we've been talking about in our class, was like, you know, what does it say about us when we create monsters? That was a discussion question actually that one of my classmates brought up that led to some really interesting comments. So like thematically, that's really resonating for me right now. But I don't have any more coherent thoughts at the moment because it is 1:20 in the morning and I am very tired. I don't normally like to stay up this late, although I've been doing it a lot more than I should recently just with homework and stuff. But at least this time it was for something fun. So yeah, I'm really glad I finished it because now it doesn't have a chokehold on me anymore. I'm not going to be like ignoring my other tasks to read it. But I am probably going to sleep in a little bit tomorrow before I get to work because I'm going to be tired. But I don't care, it was worth it. It was such a good book. So yeah, it's a great start to my weekend. Now I'm actually going to go sleep. I need to sleep. I do, however, have some sleepy friends here that I have to show you before I can before I can go to bed. I have to show you the sleepy little guys. Well, it probably could be predicted based on the fact that I was up until like 1:30 finishing a book yesterday. I've gotten a very late start today. It is now just before 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, and I'm just now kind of sitting down to work. I slept in until almost 11, and then it took me a while to actually like get ready for the day, get some food, all that good stuff. So now I am finally sitting down to work. I'm getting some caffeine in me. And I think I'm going to start with working on the proposal that I need to write. I'm going to like pull together some notes, gather all of the resources that I'm hoping to refer to that I know of so far in the reflection and in the work itself, and get started on thinking through that so that I can write that. It's not due for like another 6 days. It's due like at the end of next week. And I just want to get kind of an early start on it if I can. So that's, I think, going to be the first goal, just because I don't think I am awake enough to work on student learning outcomes, although I do have some notes for that as well. So like that's the other kind of written thing I need to get done. And then depending on how everything goes, I might work on my shawl later. I have a buddy too, there he is, hanging out back there. They really like this love seat, they're constantly in it. But yeah, I might work on the shawl for a little bit later, and we'll just kind of see how far I get. If I get some time to read later, I might do that, but I'd almost forgotten that I have an event to go to this evening, that I got tickets for this like symphony thing that's all video game music. So my best friend and I are gonna go to that, and we're anticipating that's gonna be at least a couple of hours. I think the doors open at like 7 and the event is like 8 to 10:15 or something. So got that going on, so I have like a limited amount of time to work today. That's the other reason I feel like focusing on the proposal is a good place to start, because I know that that's not going to be kind of as in-depth as working on the SLOs and the other project, and I could leave that for tomorrow when I know I'm just going to be like here writing and doing laundry. So I think that'll work well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I am caffeinating, so I'm gonna caffeinate some more and hopefully be productive today. So slight change of plans. I opened up everything to work on my proposal and proceeded to just stare at it blankly for about an hour. I was not focusing at all. I've got everything kind of like pulled up and saved, and I know what I need to put in there, but I am like so tired today from being up so late, which I should not have done, but like we have to just keep moving forward, right? Like it was so fun, still worth it. But I'm so tired today that I'm like struggling to figure out how to words. I don't know how to write anything right now, and I just stared at it. It was not productive time, so I decided to step away. What I did in the meantime was I actually planned and filmed a video for next week, because there was one more that I knew I needed to get done. So I went ahead and did that. All of that's ready to go. I just need to edit it next week, and that's actually really a comfortable spot for me to be in terms of video planning. So that was my April TBR, so that'll be coming next Saturday, which a week from today, several days after you see this vlog. So that'll be coming up. And I'm also, I think, going to just kind of switch gears entirely and work on one of the other things I need to do. I'm thinking I'm either gonna read for a little bit, because obviously, take my Kindle out of here, I have 2 books to work on for very different purposes. So I might read for a little while, or I also really need to get my current weaving project off my loom, and any day that I'm like not having a good time with words, it's going to be a good time for me to work on that, because I really need to get that project off the loom ASAP. So I still have about 3 hours before I need to get ready to leave to go to the event this evening. So I'm thinking I'm going to get my loom out and just throw on some YouTube, work on the weaving, and try to get that off the loom so that I can start warping on for my other project sometime this week if possible. I don't know if I'll get the shawl totally done, but any progress would be good progress. And again, I do need to get that warped on like very soon. I'd like to have it warped on about the time that I'm turning in the proposal, because that means I could very quickly like weave the actual piece and then give myself like as much of April as possible just to do the video editing and the video writing for that, and the research, the reflection, all of those pieces for it. So that I think is gonna be the new goal for today. It's just to weave for a while. I think I'm gonna do weaving just because if I'm having trouble writing, I'm probably gonna have some trouble reading Frankenstein, because I'm not gonna be like picking up on things as well as I would like. So I feel like that's a good goal. That's the way we're going to shift for today. And then tomorrow I'm just gonna be home. I'm gonna get home from this event this evening and crash. And then tomorrow I'm just gonna be home and I'm gonna do all of my like writing and thinking work tomorrow while I do some laundry. They're helping. I realized I needed to put a little more yarn on the winder. That's the word I'm looking for. He loves it when I get at the table. Pumpkin, you gonna help me wind some yarn, buddy? I think he says yes. Well, I guess that label is his now. So I've been working on this for probably close to 2 hours, and I think like moved the warp down 2 or 3 times now. I've got just a tiny bit of that yarn left, so I am going to have to take a break in a little bit. And if this will focus, maybe? There we go. I'll have to take a break and wind this. I still have part of this cake left, and I've just been kind of making some progress. Happy Sunday. I got a bit of a better start this morning. It's like 10:30 instead of being like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So did a little bit better there today. But the event I went to last night was really fun. My friend and I went to this like video game music symphony event. It's a local symphony, but it's a big like video game music event that tours everywhere. And it was interesting. It was like a lot of fun. We had a great time. They did Ace Attorney section of the performance, and that was so good. It was really funny because we weren't expecting it. So my friend and I both immediately like sat forward in our seats. We're like, oh my god, because we love Ace Attorney. So that was a really great piece of it. I really enjoyed that. The whole thing was really fun. We had a great time. There were some odd choices that they made because it felt a little like the script hadn't been updated since the very first performance of this like touring shows in like 2012. I think he said it was 12 years old. The guy that created it was, you know, is a part of the show. Editing Hope here. I have an interesting thing to include here. So the event that we went to is something called Video Games Live, and it is a big touring symphony thing. I think it works typically with like a local symphony, that's the word. And it was originally created by a video games industry veteran named Tommy Tallarico, and I, via my friend, have just found out today that he is an interesting fellow. My friend that went with me did a little bit of hunting. She found a Wikipedia page, and there was some interesting stuff to be known about him. Primarily that he appears to be a bit of a pathological liar, and Hbomberguy did a video on him just recently. And I say recently, it was like last year, but I'm gonna put that in the description so that you can check it out if you want to, because it was originally a video about the Roblox oof noise. Apparently he claims to have made that noise, but it appears it was actually created by somebody who worked for him many years ago and was for a different game entirely, and then eventually made its way into Roblox. Anyway, I'm not going to go too far into the details, but yeah, there was an entire Hbomberguy video about Tommy Tallarico, and I was in the same room as Tommy Tallarico briefly. I could have met him if we had decided to go back to the lobby, because he and the conductor were going to be in the lobby, like, greeting people and talking and all that good stuff. And we didn't go to the lobby because there was a side door that was open so that people could walk directly out into the parking lot. And we were like, yeah, let's just go home. Let's avoid the crowd. So we had a near brush with infamy and didn't even know it until today. But I just had to include that because I thought that was super weird and interesting. And yeah, I'll definitely link that video so you can go check it out if you want to. I've watched it. It's really well done. And it's wild, some of the stuff that Hbomberguy discovered while he was doing his research for that video. So yeah, but I just needed to include that because it was a weird experience for me today to learn about all of it. He talked about, like, people think video games are for children, or that the music is just bleeps and bloops. I'm like, I don't think anybody's thought that in like 20 years, really. But it was like, started off with lots of like very old memes, like All Your Base Are Belong to Us was on the screen right at the start of the show. So it just felt a little bit like the show was created by someone whose engagement with video games has mostly ended since like 2012, because the most recent thing, that was I think when the show started, and then the most recent thing that they actually performed anything from was like Overwatch, and they also did something from Undertale, so like 2015, 2016, nothing more recent than that. So that was interesting. And also they only played like all of the really big music from every game, so it was kind of like emotionally the same all the way across, except for they did do a piece from The Last of Us, and there were video clips playing from all the games during the performance. And The Last of Us, it was just like the sad bits, not a clicker in sight. So that was I think an interesting choice. But, oh, and then in the end, they did, like, a piece from Final Fantasy X, which I was like, the only thing I know about this is that Titus has a terrible laugh, and, that's the extent of my knowledge. But they had, like, a cosplay video for that section instead of, like, gameplay. They also did Kingdom Hearts, but had a video of, like, all of the Disney characters that are in it, but in their original, like, Disney movie appearances. So, yeah, it was just, like, some odd choices were made in what they chose to play. Also, the Ace Attorney bit, the like, video, spoiled every single case from every game from the first, like, 6 games. So, like, the original Ace Attorney trilogy, and then also the Apollo Justice trilogy. And my friends played all of them, so she's like, oh my gosh, they've just showed, like, every culprit for, like, every case. And they showed all of the big breakdowns from the ends of the game. And I was like, well, thank goodness they're showing it very quickly, because I didn't have time to process all of it. So I missed all the ones that I haven't seen yet, so it's fine. But yeah, that was an interesting choice as well, especially since those have fairly like recent remasters. So yeah, it was like a ton of fun, but there was like some unpacking we had to do when we got out of it, because we were a little like, that was an interesting artistic decision they've made there. But because we got back fairly late, I was fairly awake, and I thought like, oh no, I'm gonna have like another really late night, but then it was fine. And I've gotten up early enough to have about 12 hours of time to work for today, so I feel pretty good about that. And my goals for the day are going to be to write as much as I can of my final project proposal, because I have most of that kind of thought through and figured out. I'll have like a few more things I need to do in more detail, but like I feel pretty good about that, getting that done. It's only like 300 words, so it's not a big deal. And then I'm going to work on my student learning outcomes for my other final project, which I do have a couple of ideas for. I just need to like figure out how to develop them. And then I'm going to try and finish my weaving, which is seeming a lot more doable to me now than it did yesterday, because I only wove for about 2 hours yesterday and I got a lot more done than I was anticipating. So I only have like, I think maybe 2 more layers of warp left on the warping bar. Not the warping bar, the back beam. I can't remember the actual term for it right now. I have just woken up, I haven't had any caffeine yet, and I need to get some food in me before I get to work, but I have like 2 more layers of warp that haven't been woven yet, so I think that's a lot more doable than I thought it was originally, and I might actually manage to get this done this week, which would be great. I mean, not this week, this weekend, which would be great because then I can warp on the next piece this week, which I really want to go ahead and get started on, because I know that that's going to take me some time to get all the weaving done, and there's going to be like a video element that's going to include like clips of the weaving, so I need to have all of that done so that I can really focus in on getting the video finished and doing the reflection, because there's like a 1500 word reflection that goes alongside the project, which is fine. Like 1500 words is not that bad. We accidentally, my group and I, for our collaborative thing, accidentally wrote 1500 words. But yeah, so that is going to be the plan for the day. And I'm going to go get started, but first I'm probably going to grab some food. I swear, I think I always like film vlog clips before I've eaten breakfast and was like, I've got to get food before I do anything else. Is that my MO now? I feel like it is. Well, it took longer than anticipated, but I did finish my final project proposal and go ahead and turn that in since it was done. I had Mom let me read it to her. Actually, I was gonna say look over it, but actually I just read it to her just to make sure that it wasn't anything obvious missing and that like it made sense outside of my own head. So I got that turned in, and then I opened my retirement account stuff, and it was like, oh, I need to register for online access, and I can't because they can't verify my phone number for whatever reason, but I can't access my account without verifying my phone number. So I'm gonna have to call them during like business hours, which unfortunately the blackout actually starts like tomorrow, so that's on me for waiting so long to get to this. I'll work that out, and I'm sure it's fixable. It's just a weird problem. But for now, my battery is actually flashing, so I'm just gonna go get back to work. I don't know what else I'm gonna get done today. It's just before 7 o'clock, but I'm gonna see what else I can manage for now. Well, I have not gotten much more done, but I am really happy about having my proposal in, so I'm just gonna like remind myself I got a lot done. Sometimes I make a list that's just simply too long, and I'll beat myself up over not getting it done. But I actually got about half of the stuff on my list done, so that's still something to be proud of, you know? That's the thing that I always have to like remind myself. I am often my own worst enemy, but I was trying to focus in and I just was not focusing well, so I played Fortnite with my partner for about an hour and had some dinner, and now I'm not sure what else I'm gonna get done tonight. I'm pulling together some resources right now to try and figure out my SLOs for this project I'm working on, just because I'm not like sure how to develop those. I've never done that before. I have some ideas for them. I just need to figure out how to like actually craft those statements, because those are kind of guide the rest of the course as I'm making it. So that's kind of the next thing that I'm working on. I don't know that I'll finish it tonight, but I am finding some good sources on like how to do that. So I'm gonna read through those and kind of start letting that start percolating, and then I'll probably write some of the SLOs like tomorrow afternoon when I'm done with some of my readings for this week. So that is the goal. But for now, I'm pretty happy with what I got done this weekend. Let me actually check the official list and see what all was finished. Should have had that out first, but it's fine, don't worry about it. So I finished and submitted a job application on Friday. I returned my library books, filmed and edited a video for this weekend, wrote my proposal, and I did look at my retirement account stuff. Obviously I wasn't able to totally resolve that, but based on what I can look at, I'm pretty sure it should all be fine, because it should just transfer over in kind. It looks like that's what they're intending for it to do, so it should be okay, and I'll be able to call them during business hours and get logged in, and then like once the little blackout period is done, I'll be able to actually like double check that everything's cool, but it should be totally fine. And I started finding resources for my SLOs. I did a pretty big chunk of weaving, so that was really good. I have a little bit left to do. I might do some more of that this evening. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't do much reading besides the one random book I decided to pick up. I did not finish either of the books I intended to work on, but still, like, I read a whole book. That's still fun. That's still cool. Wasn't one of the ones I meant to read, but like, I'm gonna count it as a win just because I haven't been reading a whole lot lately outside of school stuff anyway, so like, I'm gonna count it as a win. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. That's actually quite a few things off of my to-do list, and the things I have left are, I think, doable. So I'm feeling pretty good about the progress I've made this weekend, actually. That being said, it is about 9 p.m. on Sunday, which means I'm gonna be getting ready for bed soon, hopefully, and kind of getting ready for the week. I've got to put my bullet journal together for the week first, but I'm gonna be kind of finishing off my weekend here, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and end this vlog. Thank you so much for joining me on my little productivity journey this weekend. I really hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have, I hope you'll consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribing to see what comes next. I'm currently posting on Tuesdays and Saturdays, so there is more content coming soon, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.